Hey there, welcome to day 16 of our Get Up and Go challenge. This is our 7th Get Up and Go challenge, 30 plus days since the pandemic started, COVID-19, in, of course, March of 2020. Since then, in April, in June to July, we did a longer one. August, October, December, February, and now in April, we are doing our 7th 30 plus day Get Up and Go challenge. Why 30 days? We've talked about this so that you can transform and take the challenge change process using the SOAP framework, using a successful proven process for handling and dealing with change and challenges, and install it in your subconscious and be able to pull it up and use it automatically in any area or aspect of your life. We've gone through our physical SOAP framework. Now we're going through relationship framework using the SOAP framework, through relationships using the SOAP framework. Yesterday we talked about our story, our situation, the S of our SOAP framework, and we used our imaginary friend. George and I had a nice chat about my relationship with my sisters. I have 3 birth sisters, 1 a year older than me, 2 a year younger than me. 2 are younger than I am. One's a year, one's 4 years younger than me, actually. And like any family, we have a very diverse, even though we were raised by the same parents, raised in the same environment, raised in the same family, just like twins, we're all very different, but we're also very much alike. And so George and I had a conversation about what our relationship is now. We talked a little bit about what it was in the past, because whenever you're talking to your imaginary friend, they bring up the past, right? So we talked about that, and then we talked about what do we want that relationship to be. Well, there's a gap between what my relationship is with my sisters right now, especially during COVID, and what I want it to be going forward and for the rest of my life, right? My sisters were always my best friends, and over, raising our families and things, we grew apart, and we go your separate ways when you're raising kids, and we're not as close as we used to be. And so I want to work on that relationship. I want to change, go from where we are to where I want us to be. Back to more like when we were kids, when we were close, when we were best friends, and we did tons of crazy fun things together. So George and I chatted about that, and then today we're going to look at the O in our SOAP framework. Once we identify where we are to where we want to be, there's always a gap in between there, right? Unless we're dead, chances are where we want to be and where we are exactly right now in our life is slightly different. We always want to be improving and making our life better. So how do we get there? How do we get from where we are to where we want to be? Well, O helps us do that. It helps us to identify different options and possibilities, knowing that anything is possible, right? In any area or aspect of our life, if we just believe it is. And we believe it is by opening ourselves up to the possibility and the options that are out there, or that could be out there. We talked about infinite possibilities with respect to our physical well-being. Now today we're going to talk about one of the best tools you can ever have in your toolbox, no matter what, is visualization, imagination. I call it lost my train of thought. Practice and pre-framing. Pre-framing, depending on when you're doing this activity of imagining or visualizing, it gets different names. If I am practicing ahead of time an experience that I'm going to have, maybe an interaction with another person, say with my sisters, if I'm practicing that, I call that visualization or that imagining, I call that pre-framing. If it's after the fact, if I'm replaying and re-going over and learning from an experience I've already had, that's, exploring the past and learning from the past. So it's got different names, but it's a really, really powerful tool. And it can be used in any stage of the SOAP framework, right? Normally you'd think, okay, well, if I'm using my imagination and I'm thinking of something and how I want it to be versus what it is, maybe that's better for the S in our SOAP framework. Well, absolutely can use it for that, but you can actually use it in any time, any experience, and in any place. It's the cool thing about imagination and visualization. Everyone can do it, whether we believe we can or not, and we all have an imagination, whether we've explored it or not. And it's like any other muscle or any other thing about us or any other tool, we can get better and better and better, and it can be a more powerful tool for us just by practicing it. So what I like about visualization and imagination is I never thought I was much of a visual person. I didn't think I could visualize. I didn't think I could set goals and imagine myself getting them in any area or aspect of my life when I was younger. And then I don't remember who said it, but they said, well, think of a pink elephant. Or don't think of a pink elephant. Try not to think of a pink elephant. Well, what happens in your brain, your imagination, your mind's eye, your visualization? You automatically see a pink elephant. What your pink elephant looks like is probably different than my pink elephant, but we all see some sort of pink elephant. Same is true if we say, don't think of a dragon. Don't think of your house when you were growing up. We automatically think of those things, and we have pictures of them in our mind. Much as we like to think, we think in words, human beings actually think in pictures and questions. We think in pictures and questions. That's how our brain actually works, even though we think that we think in words. Remember when you were a baby, you weren't born understanding or knowing any words. And so that's all things that we learn along the way. So our action today is to take our story that we learned with our imaginary friend or with talking to ourselves yesterday and start to fill that gap. And we're just going to, again, brainstorm, because brainstorming is my favorite. Everybody can do it, and we can all do it anytime, any place. We're going to brainstorm possible ways to improve the relationship or to change the relationship that we're currently in with respect to from where it is now to what we want it to be. With COVID-19, there's been a huge upheaval and impact on many, many people's relationships. A lot of them have been positive changes and impacts. A lot of things that couples and families have been ignoring have come to the forefront because people have spent more time together as families in the last year than they probably have in all the cumulative years of their life previously. You know, I don't count sleeping time as spending time with someone. So that's how I define it. So what we're going to do today is we're going to come up with at least 10. Every time we do the O, always come up with at least 10 possible options. They can be as far-fetched and crazy as you want. I just did a couple. I think I just pulled out 7. Here I said I could call my sisters. I could communicate with them more. I could write to them. I could do things and activities with them like we used to do. We could do things that we're interested in. We could travel. I could go to lunch. I could shop with them. Now, for me, that's a supreme sacrifice because I'm the anti-shopper. My daughter used to shop with my sisters because I've never been a shopper very much, not since I was in college. We could get our nails or our hair done or do some girly spa things or whatever. We could read books together. We could join I've always wanted my sisters to do a yoga class with me, but nobody will. So maybe I could talk them into doing a yoga class with me or something like that. And I'll continue and make a list. I wrote 15 things, so I'll come up with at least 15 things. Then we're going to share in the comments below 3. Why do I have you share 3? So we get out of that black and white thinking that we only have 2 alternatives. It's this or that. It's I improve my relationship with my sisters or I have no relationship with them at all. Well, that's ridiculous, right? That's 2 opposite ends of a spectrum, neither of which are true. We tell ourselves, hey, it's going to be black or white, this way or that way. And so I always ask you to share 3 because I want you to think of at least that 3rd alternative. Because once we think of that 3rd possibility, maybe it'll never happen in a million years, but as soon as we start opening ourselves up to actually thinking of other possibilities, a whole bunch more come rolling into our imagination and our visualization. And before we know it, we have got a lot of different possible ways to fill that gap from where we are to where we want to be. Any questions? Hit me up about this. Otherwise, go to it. Find, it takes like no time, no energy. You can do it anywhere. Use your imagination. Visualize possible ways of filling that gap. Brainstorm them out. Take a Post-it note around with you today and just add the little things as you think of them. That's what I do. Or I take my notebook with me. I throw it in my purse. And as I think of things as I go about my day, I'm actually doing something with my sisters today. So that will be a way to test where and get a feel for where is our relationship and where do I want it to be. All right, have an awesome day. I will, of course, be with you tomorrow, and we're going to talk about the A in our SOAP framework. Any questions? Ask. Always ask. And I'll be with you tomorrow. Bye.